Hello, dear friends. James' confession to Deep, when the third person is about to appear. Who is the third person? At a corner of a small coffee shop, Tuan, James's best friend, sat quietly looking out at the crowded street. In front of him was a cup of black coffee that had long gone cold. Tuan's heart was filled with worrying about the leaves. Tuan doesn't understand why. Lately I think about you so much. At first he just saw her as a simple girl in the stormy love story of James. But since seeing her struggling to make a living, then had to face a lot of pressure from James' family, my heart is beating strangely again. I am worried about her or have feelings for her too. And wondered quietly. But then he tried to push those thoughts away. Tu Diep loves James, and he doesn't want to be the one to get in the way. But he still couldn't stop worrying. At Deep's house, James sat on an old wooden chair, eyes full of mood. Deep stood by the stove holding a cup of hot tea. Sad eyes, what did your father say to you? James broke the silence. Deep smiled faintly, but her eyes showed pain. He said, if I get pregnant with someone else while I'm in love with you, then he will never accept me as his daughter-in-law. James clenched his hands into fists. His father was always so conservative. He never looked at me with a fair eye. Tu Diep bowed his head slightly. His voice choked. The most painful thing is not that he doesn't accept me, but I also doubted you. James was silent. These past few days, I have been really overwhelmed by emotions. His love for Tu Diep is very great. But when he heard she was pregnant, he was confused. It was that confusion that made him unintentionally hurt her. He sighed and stood up, holding her hand tightly. Come on. Let's go to the hospital. I need to make sure about your health. At the clinic, the doctor carefully examined Tu Diep's health. James stood beside her with a worried look in his eyes. The doctor looked at the results and smiled. Miss Diep is not pregnant. She had only a slight drop in blood pressure, which caused dizziness and nausea. James and Diep were both stunned. So you're not pregnant? Diep was surprised. The doctor nodded and prescribed medicine for her. James breathed a sigh of relief. But deep down, I feel my heart being squeezed again. I have thought about being a father. Once dreamed of a small family with Tu Diep. Even though we know that we have not reached that step yet. But the disappointment still crept into his heart. When leaving the hospital, James held the Diep's hand and said softly, "So, it's just a misunderstanding, but I'm sorry for hurting you these past days." Tu Diep looked at him and gently leaned her head on his shoulder. "It's okay, let's start over." James smiled and squeezed her hand. After stormy days, James decided to take Tu Diep on a picnic so that both can be more comfortable. They chose a small field by the stream where there are rows of green bamboo rustling in the wind. James and Tu Diep built a small hut made of banana leaves and bamboo. Both of them picked up firewood together, light a fire and grill sausages over hot coals. The aroma of sausages spread in the peaceful space. Tu Diep sat by the fire, her face brighter than ever. You know, I used to dream of a simple life like this. No need to be rich. No need for luxury. Just need the one you love by your side. James smiled and gently stroked her hair. Then later, if you want, I will take you everywhere. camping, living the free life. Tu Diep looked at him, her eyes lit up. So do you want to cook something with me? Jame laughed. As long as it's not something too difficult, I'm willing to try. Tu Diep pulled him closer, then started teaching him how to bake bread. Hot dog clip, both making and laughing. Past fatigue and misunderstanding, gradually disappearing with the kitchen smoke. When the sun goes down, Jame gently wrapped his arms around the purple leaf from behind. I want you to know that no matter what happens, I will always be with you. Tu Diep gently leaned on his chest. She felt the warmth from the man she loved. Me too, let's always trust each other. The sky gradually darkened, but their love now shining like a star in the sky. While Jame and Tu Diep enjoy a peaceful afternoon together. Then, at a small cafe in the city, Tu sat quietly looking at the phone. He didn't text Jame or Tu Diep recall, but in his heart he was in turmoil. I was going to forget this feeling, but the more I try to forget, the more my heart aches. I shouldn't have feelings for her, but why can't I stop thinking about her? Tu remembers the times he saw the purple leaves, smiling brightly when with Jame. The times when she struggled to make a living, and her eyes when she was sad. He used to just consider her as an acquaintance, but since when she became a part of his thoughts, he smiled bitterly. No matter how I feel, she still only loves Jame. Tu stood up and left the coffee shop. I know I can't change the truth, but can he continue to be James's best friend, but hide this feeling forever? That evening at the small camp under the moonlight, Tu Diep and Jame sat by the fire, leaning against each other quietly, watching the starry sky. Tu Diep asked softly, have you ever thought, if one day I cannot be with you anymore, how will you be? Jame was stunned, his eyes darkened. Why do you ask that? Tu Diep pursed her lips, her hands unconsciously tight in her shirt. I just think if one day something happens, will you get over it? Jame did not reply immediately. A gentle breeze blew by, shake the banana leaves on the small hut. He looked straight into her eyes with a determined gaze. I don't care what happens. I only know one thing, I love you. And no matter what, I will not lose you. Tu Diep felt her heart warmer than ever. No matter how many misunderstandings and difficulties, Jame always kept faith in their love. She smiled softly and leaned her head on his shoulder. Me too, I will never leave you. Jame squeezed her hand. Secretly promised in my heart that no matter what happened, I will also protect this girl to the end. But they do not know that the challenges ahead are not over yet. Wendy and Jame were immersed in simple happiness. Then somewhere else, John, who once wanted to harm Jame, is secretly planning a new one. He never gave up his intention of taking revenge on Jame. Last time he failed to sabotage James's company, but this time he has a different plan. Young, standing on the top floor of a building, looking down at the city lights, he smiled faintly and took out his phone. Press a number. I need someone to follow Jame and Tu Diep. I want to know all their activities. On the other end of the line, A low voice rang out, understood. We will act immediately. John hung up the phone, his eyes flashing dangerously. This time I will not leave you alone, James. After the camping trip, James brought the Cosmos back home. That day, when James had urgent work to handle, Tuan accidentally visited Tu Diep's house. When seeing Tuan, Tu Diep surprised. Mr. Tuan, why are you here? Tuan scratched his head, trying to hide the confusion in his heart. I just wanted to see if you were okay. Tu Diep smiled and invited him into the house. They sat across from each other, but Tuan felt his heart beat faster. It was the first time he found it difficult to talk to her as a friend. Tu Diep, I'm afraid. Tuan is hesitant. Nightyan squeezed my hand, hesitated for a long time, then said, if one day James hurts me, have you thought about leaving him? Tu Diep looked at Tuan with a surprised look. Mr. Tuan, why do you ask that? Tuan smiled faintly and shook his head. Nothing, I just want to know if you ever waver. Tu Diep did not think long but answered immediately. No, I love James. No matter what happens, I will never leave him. Her answer was like a knife cutting into Tuan's heart. He tried to smile, but his heart was full of bitterness. That's good too. Diep did not recognize Tuan's sad eyes when he stood up to leave Tuan, and knows he has no more chance. Dark. A car silently followed James as he drove home. The man in the car, holding the phone, sent a text message to John. He left the girl's house. What should we do now? John looked at the text message. The corner of the lips curled up into a cold smile. Keep watching, wait for the right time, then take action before it's too late. Who will be the third person? Thank you for watching the video. The truth will happen right after this.